I've been a practicing therapist all my life. If someone said you can only pick one tool to work with people, but you can use it in any way you want to, that one tool, it would be breath work, period.
Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Dr. Brack Jeffreys. I'm the president and CEO of the Center for Spiritual Emergence and Catholic Sanctuary in Asheville, North Carolina. We specialize in the treatment of people who are having extraordinary experiences that are in spiritual emergency. We work with patients who have often been misdiagnosed with schizophrenia or bipolar or major depressive disorder. And as we've talked about, people have mental health issues that respond to a variety of different approaches. If they are in fact having a spiritual emergency, generally brought on by some catalyst of some kind, not necessarily a definable catalyst, but often through trauma or psychedelic or meditation practice or intense sexual experience or childbirth. Sometimes people often have these openings that get really misdiagnosed. We have a place for folks to come and work through that kind of stuff from a spiritual emergency perspective. We're fully licensed, partial hospitalization, intensive outpatient counseling program. We're accredited. We have all the bells and whistles, licensed clinicians, all that kind of stuff. The breath work is one of the primary tools we use in our work with people in spiritual emergence. I come from a long line of breathwork practices dating all the way back to 1984. I was introduced to holotropic breathwork in 86, certified in that model in 88. It's been a part of my clinical work and my personal work since all that time. And so I had a supervisee mentioned in a supervision session about your model, Michael, the neurodynamic breathwork. I was very excited about it, and I couldn't wait to give it a whirl, and I'm very, very pleased by it. Great experience. I think that the model you created, it has all the critical elements in it. You prepare people. The set and setting is comprehensive, communicated in a way that I think is easy for people to understand and supports the interior process. Even though it's online, there's a deep sense of community and connection. I certainly experienced that as a participant in the neurodynamic breathwork. Felt very held and supported, had a very, very deep and profound experience. Great process. Very well, like I said, I think I sent you a personal message on this, Michael. I think it is what you're doing with the neurodynamic breathwork is an evolutionary process in breathwork itself. And of course, that's going to, can't help but add to the evolution of consciousness as a larger function of breathwork. And I think the neurodynamic breathwork is going to really increase the access in a very affordable way to many people using breathwork or having the ability to use breathwork in their change and growth process. We certainly, with our patients, we're going to be plugging them into your system when appropriate, as an adjunct to the treatment they're doing for spiritual emergency. Very excited about this. I'm excited for the work you're doing, and I will be breathing regularly in the groups.
What do you feel like the role of breathwork is in terms of what's going on in the world right now and the importance of people doing this kind of work?
Well, of course, that's almost infinite question. I think one of the things that we're really in a critical challenge with as a species, as a planet, is can we create a critical mass of aware people before we destroy ourselves as a species? And I don't know that the answer is we have that answer yet. And I think breathwork, the model you're using, any kind of deep work that can allow us to, one, connect up with our commonality with other people, help inform us that we are mutually interdependent on each other at all times and in all places. That's not a theoretical issue for people that are doing breathwork. Some of us who've been doing breathwork for a long time, this is just an operational reality. And so it changes how we interact in the world. And I believe it changes for the better how we interact with other people in the world, how we do whatever our respective roles in this world is. And I think breathwork is super critical for helping people move into that place, work through any blockages that stop us from seeing that interconnected and interdependency. It's just an absolutely critical tool for helping us evolve and hopefully survive as a species. I can't emphasize that enough. As I'm talking about this, I'm just aware that I mean, this is these are serious times right now. And we need as many people doing this kind of work as we can get to do it. I do think that making it accessible and the neurodynamic breathwork accessible is brilliant and absolutely necessary.
I mean, you've been involved with breathwork forever, basically. And so what are really like, when you see people kind of doing it on a more regular basis, what are kind of the most common benefits that you see? How do people shift?
Some of the things I just mentioned, to begin to experience this profound connection. Okay, a profound connection in a way that calls us to be responsible for ourselves and to other people. Most folks that have done a lot of breath work tend to have at least an open-minded, in most cases, open-hearted attitude towards diversity. Recognize there's so many different, beautiful, honorable ways that we can grow and evolve and care for each other as human beings. That becomes workable and real, and it's a authentic experience. Folks are able to, with breath work, really resolve some of the deepest traumas we have, traumas that in some cases we're just now starting to acknowledge as traumas, our transgenerational, transpersonal traumas, our perinatal traumas, all those kinds of things. It's an absolutely beautiful, sacred technology for resolving those traumas and helping us evolve as human beings. I've been a practicing therapist all my life. If someone said, you can only pick one tool to work with people, but you can use it in any way you want to. That one tool, it would be breath work, period.
Do you feel like let's say you have a person who isn't necessarily want to work with trauma, but they just want to kind of see how they're blocked in their life or see how they can move ahead in terms of their relationships. Do you think, have you seen that breath work is good for that too?
Well, I think anytime we're involved in an evolutionary process, there's also a natural awakening of creativity. I had the good fortune of working with some pretty interesting artists in my career. Okay, and musicians, visual artists, that kind of thing. And we use breath work as a regular part of this. And so I think for those folks who may be interested in accessing creativity, just continuing to expand the definition of wellness, enhancing wellness and a sense of well-being and overall effectiveness and functioning. Again, breathwork checks off a lot of boxes on accomplishing that as well.
All right, thanks very much.
Quite welcome. Thank you, Michael. And the work you're doing with the neurodynamic breathwork is brilliant. It really is. Thank you, really.